Righto. Thought I'd get back on, tune in with yous all, and see if we can't get up to the play with what's going on. So there's a few cons going on. Thought we'd look at the preposition con. Okay, so a con is a definition: something used deceptively to gain another's confidence, to confide. Yeah? Sounds a bit secret, doesn't it? To confide in someone. We go to confession too, don't we? To confess, to fess up to something, to fess up to the con that's going on. And when you start looking at that, you kind of get, you would concur with the meaning of things, wouldn't you? Concur is a mongrel dog, especially a worthless or unfriendly one. And its second meaning is a mean, cowardly person. So maybe you better be careful when you concur about something. So we're going to go over a few of the cons. Of course, one of the big ones out there is the conspiracy. And I've told you about the conspiracy before. Bunch of cons people, they're criminals, okay? And they're operating in piracy, okay? Piracy's law of the sea. It's Admiralty commercial banking law. Let me show you that. That's law of the sea. It's Admiralty commercial banking law. Remember, it's about liquidity. You find banks on the sides of the rivers that control the currents to the sea. That's how it works. Okay, so we're going to go over a few cons, the conspiracies that are going on. And it's a great conspiracy. And piracy, we all know, is rape, pillage and plunder. And they do that through all the legalese and authority or assumed authority. But again, it's all about the liquidity, the cents, and the profit, and the dollars. Remember, dolen from Latin is pain, to be ill, to insure because you're a surety. That's how that works. So we're going to talk about the cons, the piracy, which is rape, pillage and plunder. That's what piracy is about. All the constructs, the cons, the constructions. We're going to destruct some of those cons, in fact, because those cons are there to confuse you. That's what the cons do. And they put the cons on the table. That's where we get the constable. Because they construct things on a table that's not really a level playing field. Okay, so we're going to go over a few of the cons. The conspiracy. And you know how they label us all theorists? Well, that's all we've really got to say about that. Conspiracy theorists was a CIA term they come up with through the CIA to marginalise and denigrate and to put you in the bin of the loonies. It was a word used to pigeonhole people as unthinking, morons, really. But then they give us the evolution theory, don't they? That's another theory. But there's lots of people believe in that one. So we're going to go over a few of the cons, the pros and cons. And one of the big cons, of course, going on at the moment is the COVID. Do you know about the COVID? Corona. We're in level 2 here in New Zealand at the moment. Actually, I'll just get the date. I like to put the date on me things. The date today is the 31st of the 5th, 2020, last day of May. 1:15. So yeah, so we're going to go over a few of these cons. We're going to go over the pros and the cons, eh? Talk about the pros and the cons. There's lots of cons out there. Just showed you concur. You don't really want to concur, do you? There's the control, the controlling, the pros and the cons. Okay? Sometimes with the S, sometimes without. You've got to have that. Got to have that S in there. Pros and the cons, okay? And this is the big con going on at the moment. Your COVID, Certificate of Vaccine Identification. Number 19 it is, isn't it? It's Corona 19, 18 others, or 18 others. So this is number 19. This is AI, this one. And I want you to get your vaccine. I'm sure many of you have seen the Animates video. So you'll know my standing on how I feel about that. And we do try to operate as we operate, as we are. Light, organically, vibrating, energetically. And sometimes it's insightful, but usually we'll get to this kind of insight. We get to the heart of the matter, the truth of the matter, because home is where the heart is. You'll know that. So there's a lot of cons going on, and this is one of the big ones at the moment. And it's a bit of a Trojan horse to bring in all the tracking and control, because that's what they're calling it, isn't it? Contact tracing. Trying to bring all that in, folks. There's another con. Contract tracing. You know, all your contacts. Because remember, contacts, confuse. To fuse things together is to bring things together to create contact. That's how that works. So they're bringing things together. And again, remember I've told you before how they've got to tell you what they're doing. Remember how they've got to tell you what they're doing? It's called caveat emptor. Okay, caveat emptor. It's warning, buyer beware. That's how it works. And of course, we can put that in another way. Excuse me there. Simply stated, let those that be deceived be deceived. Okay? And when you're being conned, and we're being conned big time by the professionals, it's the pros that are doing the con. Pros also stands for prostitute, doesn't it? What's a prostitute sometimes called? Solicitor. You can get done for soliciting in certain countries, especially the US. Soliciting is called prostitution. They call lawyers solicitors. Do you see how that works? That's how that works, folks. Because again, they've got to tell you exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it in front of your face and in front of your eyes. And you get your eyes open. And some of what I'm telling you is going to incite. But it'll gain you that. Remember how we have the smorgasbord of truth? There's more gas on this board of truth. Remember how that is? How learning is to each in their own. To earn. To earn. You're putting less on. Giving you a lesson. Putting less on your plate. Because you have higher understandings. The more knowledge you have, the higher on the rung of ladder you climb. And so it empowers you. And you can intuit things by truth, your truth. Smorgasbord of truth, it's your truth. Remember, it's all about you, the vessel, the you, the cup. You've got to handle it and get good standing. And with all the cons going on, that's quite hard. So we want to do a little bit of learning, a little bit of mining in your real estate. It's your mind. Remember, if you don't mind, it won't matter. Mind. Mind the gold. Mind the ore. Mind the knowledge. Remember the knoll, the wee hill that you stand on, the edge of things? To be able to see farther, to see further across the landscape and into it. And then you're into it, aren't you? So it's all about, again, about the cup, your liquidity, your vessel. It's all about that. And being captains and masters of the ship. Because you've got to contemplate your temples. Another con. Because it's your construct, but you want to be the master of your constructs. And unfortunately, there's lots of cons on the table. Constable, folks. It's the constable. Cons are on the table. And they want you caught. And they'll charge you. They'll liquidate you. And they'll rant about war. Because remember, it's piracy. It's rape, pillage and plunder over here. In the land of the dead. I'm going to get back to the land of the living. There's that con again, consent. Consent's how we get from the world of the living with all our inalienable rights. From this world over to this world is by consent. And without testing the con, then there's no contest, is there? And that's not very funny. It might tickle, but there's where you need a testicle. Is that what's called a testicle? That would mean growing some balls. Hey? And starting to stand up for these. Rather than hodling in our houses in states of fear. Fear being an acronym of false energy appearing real. Remember this one? Remember this one here? You're going to be selling fish, are you? Back in the sea? Fishmonger. When you are selfish, you listen to fear. Because you open yourselves up. Well, actually, you close yourself down. Actually, it's not opening up. Fear is closing down. You want to open up. These are the times we need to be opening up. Not closing down. But unfortunately, this is the message that the government's giving us. The messy age. Oh, my S is gone. The mess age, the mistake, because it's an error. The era we're in. Hey. So we need to start question. QE2 means question everything twice. Then we can reign and fill our cups of the liquidity. But the quest I on, to get there, you must be as king. You must be as king. Not a war king, no. You don't want to be a war king. You want to be as king. Centered at the mast, in control of your ship. That means having knowledge. That means gaining knowledge, folks, because knowledge is power. We all know one of the greatest single tools of oppression is ignorance. And there's one of my favourite sayings there, folks. It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. See, they've contracted you into corporations, folks. New Zealand is a corporation registered on the US Securities Exchange Commission in New York under Her Majesty and Right of New Zealand. It's a corporation. So every time you vote, all you're really doing is voting for the CEO of the corporation. He's the, have I got that still written down? Wait a minute, I'll write that down for you. Where's my pen? Sorry, I'm jumping. Okay, so he is an O. He's the executor, isn't he? The executor of the company, of the corporation. The executor of the corporation, okay? So the executor of the corporation, he's the CEO. Is he the executor? You see how that works? Is he the executor? Or is he the executor? Oh, he executes things, all right. An execute is to cut off, just like corporation is. It's cut off. Corpus, when you're decapitated in your capital letters, it cuts you off. It's a decapitation. So corporation, the word is Latin. Corp, corpus, body, oration, speak. But a corpse is dead, folks. You've got no voice over here. You're silent over here because you've been caught into a system that's conning you consistently. It's very consistent, and they'll never confess, or they do fess. They fess up all the time, actually. They tell you what they're doing all the time. They've got to. They've got to tell you what they're doing, folks. That's how they roll. Remember, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Let those that be deceived be deceived. You need to open your eyes. Start reading the spells, reading the signs. Casting, forecasting. It's what we need to be doing, is forecasting from our four heads. Contemplation, being the master of our ship and not listing between two worlds. The worlds of the living, where the rules are very, very simple, can be put into one rule: do not deceive. Or the rules of the dead, which are binding. In law, called legalese, which we know is like Chinese or Japanese. Looks like English and sounds like English, but it's not English, folks. This stuff in here is not English, okay? It's another language. That's why they want you to be represented in court when you're caught. Because that's the only way you can have a hearing, isn't it? But you're actually silent in that court because you're being represented by a third party called a solicitor who's out there to prostitute. And he works for the Crown. That's where his liability is. That's where his liability is in the legalese. It's deceit by its nature. It's a P in there, isn't it? Double speak. All to ensure that they pirate your ship, your vessel. And they'll extract the money, the one eye, the AI. Remember the AI? The money? It's the AI. Mon-E. Mon is one. Remember, Mon is one and I. One eye. There's your AI. There's your A, your pyramid. And your eyes in the middle of it. It's your AI, folks. See, it's right in front of your faces. It's got to be. It's called spelling for a reason. It's called magic. That's why when you get caught, you go in front of the Magi straight. Because it's straight out magic what's going on. It's mind control. It's a con game. It's the cons. The criminals, the real criminals. There was a mess there. It's the real criminals. But they're telling you. That's because it's very telling. But you see, you've got to have, they tell us you've got to have conviction, don't you? But you don't want to be a convict. But you've got to have conviction. Well, how does that work? How does that work? When you please your hearing with conviction. And that's what they give you, isn't it? They give you a conviction. They cast their spells out upon you in the words on the pieces of paper. And it's magic. It's mind control, folks. So best you start taking control of your mind and start reconnecting. Remember, to connect, there's another con. To come together, to remember, become members again. Remember, is to do again. Member. Become a member again, folks. And you can do that by searching. Researching. And that's all I've done. This information I'm giving you, folks, don't trust any of it. Go and do your own research. This is just entertainment here. To attain your mind here. Do you hear? Are you here? It's your hearing. It's all about you, remember? The vessel of you, the cargo, the carriage of goods that you are. So this is just entertainment. Take from it what you will. Because it's all about you. Remember, it's all about you and your truth. If it rings true, it sounds good. And we like sound ideas, don't we? We like sound ideas. See that? When we're here, sound things ring true. These are all symbols. What do symbols do? They make sounds, don't they? Especially when you bang them together. Psh. Comes in waves, forms of energy and frequency, measured in hertz. Because it can incite or it can incite. Sounds reasonable. Sounds like the ability to be able to reason and then respond. The ability to be able to respond as well. Remember, these are ciphers. We have to decipher. These are signs. We have to de-sign. And take note. Because this is energy. This is the transference of energy, of waves in motion. Energy in motion. And when it's at its peak of the sound, we speak, which is measured in volume. Remember volume? It's all about the volume. And the volume. Maybe we are sure to assure me again, weighing up the cost, the value, and the worth. And this is where knowledge increases your volume, your energy. And then we can move from that world there, back over to this world here. We can start denying consent and start testing the cons. Conspiracies, remember? Remember the big one that's going on, the corona, the queen, isn't it, in Spanish? Or the crown. This is what's going on. So we must question everything twice. QE2. Question everything twice. Become as king. And start deciphering some of these cons that are going on. Because they're trying to control and contract with their fear and to confuse the contact. They're trying to break the contact, folks. Again, the consent and contest. Oh, maybe we should look at the science. Maybe the conscience is questionable also. Conscience, is it? Was it on us? Maybe the con is on us. Maybe it's our consciousness. Hey, contemporary. There's your temples, or contemplate. Contemplate. We like to contemplate, don't we? The temples. That's our temple. Remember the temples? At the head of things. Forecasting. And frequency. And wave. And consciousness. Conscience. And then you can conduct yourself, can't you? You can conduct yourself. Be the master. And be the conductor of your own ship. Piracy. Learn about the conspiracy. All done by a con man. All trying to con man. See how that works? So lots of things here to contemplate. Especially about this thing here that's going on. Hey. And there's another meme going around where you add up all the letters, apparently, and it makes 666 as well. 666, what's that? Oh, that's the isotope of carbon, isn't it? Yeah, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. Oh, yeah. That's us, isn't it? Aren't we supposedly carbon-based creatures? So they tell us? Well, that's pretty telling. I'm sure you can think of some other cons there too, folks. There's lots of them going on. So, there's lots of cons out there. Lots of things to contemplate in your own conscience. And start figuring out a few of the things that are going on. Because there's lots of things going on. Lots of lies being told by a government and their media outlets and machines. You've got to stop listening to them. Start becoming the media yourselves. And start being in voice. Instead of being billed, be in voice. You know, speak up. Raise your volume. You have to raise your volume up, folks. Hey, because what's going on is unfathomable, isn't it? Waters, remember, measured in depth is in fathoms. That's why it's unfathomable. Well, it's not really. It's fathomable once you start to comprehend the level of the spells and the cons, which is a ruse, which is a lie, which is a trick. The con man, the fraud. The fraud's going on right in front of yous because it's caveat emptor. Let those that be deceived be deceived. So it's all up to you guys to raise your knowledge, to lift yourselves up, to open your eyes and realise the real lies and see them with your real eyes, what's going on. I think many of you know, more and more people are waking up daily. More and more people are starting to see the disconnect between what we're being told and what is actually going on. What we're actually seeing and what they're actually telling us. Okay? And when it's coming from an institution that is known to be inhabited by liars, it's government and your politicians, then believing anything they're going to say or anything that comes out of their mouths must be extremely questionable by this stage. We must be starting to be as king now, surely, because we're back on the land. Want to be on the land because land's about the truth, because land is a sound foundation. It sounds good, it gives us good foundation, and we can affirm things when we're on the land, because it's the firmament. It's a terra firma, isn't it? We all know the type of terror they want us in, because that's their that's their conviction. And if we continue to let them control the direction our society moves in, and our communities, and the political systems, the banking systems, the educational systems, the health systems, if we want these things to improve or get better, then we have to take control of them. God knows there's plenty of people on the ground, salt of the earth people out there who have all the ideas, all the knowledge, because they've worked in those particular fields of how things can be improved and made better. And the current system we have, well, we can see the results of the current system we've had. Hundreds of billions of dollars in debt, homelessness at sickening rates, suicides, highest in the OECD, homelessness, poverty. I mean, if we really want to start fixing things, folks, then we're going to have to start raising your voices, start participating, being part of something. Impart your knowledge. Because remember, you only have one voice, but it's your voice. And only the silent are dead. In times of claims, in times of uncertainty, in times of major cons going on. Because there's a lot of conning going on out there, folks. And their constructs are not very nice ones. So we have to take control of them. So it's all up to you guys. It's all up to you. Remember, it's all about you. It's all about you standing up on the land firmly, drawing your line in the sand. Local lawyer here, Sue Gray, independent lawyer she is. Now I know I take the piss out of lawyers. Well, I take the piss out of the origins of lawyers, actually, where they come from. Solicitors, attorneys to turn things around. Barristers, bar, across the bar. They are aligned with other agendas. But then there's the avenue that's being set up, and you can go and check this out too, the Common Law Court UK www. Check that out. There's a couple here in New Zealand. I'll try and leave some links below, actually. I haven't actually put any links below yet, but we'll try that. I'm still learning myself, folks. I'm still learning. There's still lots of lessons to be learnt in my own camp. But again, I understand and overstand and understand the value of knowledge and researching and trying to expand and grow my understandings and overstandings and understandings. Because when your vessel's not moving through the water, it's in a lull. It's called dead in the water. You're in a lullaby. And then you won't be able to see the lull of the ciphers. You'll be able to see the lucifers, signs and designs and spellings being cast by the newscasters, the anchors, because they're trying to anchor your vessel to certain constructs, to confuse and conceal your conscience. So don't let them do that. And you do that by asking and questioning, and then question and ask again. Test those cons that are being sent, because there's lots of them. Okay, there's lots of cons going on out there. It's up to you guys to be open, honest, true, real. Put your energy in motion. Realize that you have the gift of divinity. You have the front row seats. Every single one of you out there has the front row seats of this play, of this theatre, of this game on the table. The cons on the table, folks. Best you take control of your conscience and become conscious and awake. Create a wake, folks. A wake in the waters and upset the lull. Create a wave. Create a ripple effect. It's up to you. And the time is now. Again, because you've got the front row seats at the concert. You better assert your assertions. Take control of the con. Or the cons. Become the pro yourself, the professional. You know, start pushing your divinity. The gift of divinity that you have. Become the master of your ship. Create your own wake. Become awake. But you don't want to be at awake, do you? Because awake is the place of the dead. Isn't it? When you're awake in morning. In the morning. So we want to be alive, living, breathing, conscious of the beauty and the power and the real estate that we own. And the real estate's in here. It's your state of mind. Unfortunately, it's that con in there. And that con got in there. You need to take control of your own vessels. This is how we do that too. And unify. In unity. In common unity with communication. Gives us community. And that'll feel good every time. Being conscious of your part of a bigger thing, a greater thing. And this is why it's time for you now to speak up. Because again, if you don't speak up now and put yourselves in danger, which it does, you know, we become vulnerable. when we speak up and speak our minds and say what we think and act. We become vulnerable. We put ourselves in danger. But you know that we put our grandchildren, our children and great-grandchildren, and all those to come after we are gone in more danger if we do not stand up and speak out and be in voice. It's up to you guys out there. Here in Nelson on Saturdays, between 11 and 12, there's regular gatherings in town at the church steps for people to come together and have their say and have their voice and speak their truths and what they see and what they feel and what they intuit about what is going on. And those people have better things to do. They're not doing it because they enjoy it. They're doing it because they're moved by what they're researching and seeing and looking and comprehending and understanding. They can see what's going on to the point where it moves them to get out there and let their voices be heard. Then they're in concentration, aren't they? Another con. Relating centrally to the con. So you've got to get out there, folks. You've got to get out there, make your voices heard. We need to create a new system. The system we've got now isn't working, isn't going to work, and never will. We need to create a new bottom-up system. We've got the opportunity now to do it, but it's up to you. It's up to you to become masters of your vessels. Get out there and raise your voices and speak up. And operate under the simple laws of do no harm, do unto others, live and let live. Be kind and compassionate and empathetic and understanding. And we all fall from those every now and then, even myself included, as you've seen. But this over here is going to continue to get us into war. Ranting about war and being summonings the dead. So we want to get out of this construct and get back to simplicity and our true nature, the true nature of our beings. Just light organically vibrating energetically, folks. That's what we are. So get back to the truth, your truth. Share your truths. You're only here for a short time. You got the front row seat. Only the dead are silent. Speak up. Exercise your gift of divinity, whether it insights or insights. Any which way, it will garner that. And if nothing else, you'll be planting seeds for others to walk in your footsteps and learn from your learnings and your teachings and your understandings and your insights. And they will grow. And you will plant those seeds. Seeds of truth and honesty and love and integrity and being true to yourself. And kindness too, folks, because it's to kindle. Kind is to kindle, to be kind. Kin in Japanese is gold, and that's gold, folks. Kindle the fire of your heart. Get a fiery heart and be hearty. Be hearty and be loud and volume and voluminous and illuminate. Plant your seeds of truth and love and kindness in the only way that you can, because remember, it's all about you and your front row seat. It's best to step up. Hope to see you all out there on Saturday. In all your towns, squares, any gathering places. Get together, people. Talk to others, talk to your neighbours. The time is now. We have a window of opportunity. We don't want it closing on us. Okay? So I'll leave you with that. Check out my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. And we'll see you all there. See you all out there on Saturday anyway. Love and light. Thanks for joining me.